Hello and welcome to Pitt Street Research. My name is Stuart Roberts. I'm one of the co-founders of our firm, and joining me today on the afternoon of Friday the 27th of September 2024 is Mr. Chris Eager, who's the CEO of Resouro, ASX RAU.
Nice to be here.
Welcome
Stuart.
back to Sydney.
Thank you very much.
Your regular domicile is Santiago in Chile.
That's correct.
And you need to be over there because Resouro is developing in Brazil one of the world's soon-to-be premier rare earths and titanium projects in Tiros in Minas Gerais. Tell us about Tiros, because this is truly a monster project.
Well, Tiros is just north of Belo Horizonte, the capital city of Minas Gerais. We have 500 square kilometres, or near on 500 square kilometres of mineral rights. We've just completed our maiden drilling campaign and JORC resource for the project, and that covers about 7% of the formation. The formation that hosts the deposit is called the Capacete Formation, and it's a very thick, it's about 40 metre thick volcaniclastic layer that was formed about 60 million years ago and is highly weathered. So this volcaniclastic material has been converted to clays. So we've got very little stripping ratio, soft friable material, and we've drilled about 7% of what's been mapped of the Capacete, and we have about 1.7 billion tonnes at 4,000 ppm total rare earth oxides.
Read and we, folks, that's billion tonnes.
Billion tonnes, right. 1.7 billion tonnes,
right.
Yes.
At an extraordinary grade. What's the TREO on that one?
12% but we do have
12% on the titanium, but on the rare earth oxides.
Yes. So the rare earth oxides and the titanium occur 1-to-1
right.
They're totally correlated, the grades. And so the titanium dioxide grade for the deposit in general is 12%. And that compares very well with a beach sands project for rutile or ilmenite, which might be 1 or 2%. Right. So we've got a tremendous grade for titanium dioxide, very high grade for total rare earth oxides, at least 50% better than the other clay-hosted rare earth deposits in Brazil.
Right. Close to surface as well, I see as well. So and being clays, relatively easy to mine and presumably process.
Yes, yeah. So very low stripping, cut and fill mining, so very environmentally friendly mining, cutting a slot, and then mining the ore and replacing the overburden in the slot and moving along and rehabilitating as you go. So very environmentally friendly, in a great location. The infrastructure, we have a railway line which goes to any one of 3 deep water ports with bulk materials handling facilities. We have 2 500 kVA power lines which are fed by hydropower. There's a huge hydro dam called Tres Marias very close to the project that supplies low-cost, low-carbon hydropower for the project. We've got highways going through the project. There's 3 towns within the area but not in our concessions, and it's flat cattle grazing land, so we're not endangering any sort of significant environmental areas.
Right. Now, rare earths have been way out of favour in 2024. What's interesting to me is this project could potentially stand alone, just as the titanium project with rare earths as a very nice credit to have. And of course, you get all the other dynamics of titanium at the moment. Demand is going up. A lot of supply is locked up in China and Russia, which the rest of the world would like to break away from potentially. And the need for material isn't just pigments like what it was when we were growing up. It's now the use of the actual metal in all sorts of indications.
Well, the pigment market, which is pigments for paper, plastics, paint, is growing at about a 6% compound annual growth rate. So we need another 600,000 tonnes of TiO2 just for the pigment markets. Right. The world requires that. And as you say, there's a big push to replace Russian production of TiO2 at the moment. And there's a number of larger mining operations which are shutting down as well. So the TiO2 traditional market is very tight. But the really exciting thing is the new applications for titanium. Titanium is now being used extensively in obviously aerospace and for military use, but there's a whole lot of new technologies that create take TiO2, convert it to metal powder, titanium metal powder, and that can be used for 3D printing and production of titanium metal components for aerospace, for cars. There's a lot more titanium will go into cars because it's lighter, stronger, and doesn't corrode than steel.
Right.
So we're very excited about the new markets for titanium.
Right. So potentially standalone as a titanium play. You've done some met test work with a firm called Altilium,
That's right.
whose technology involves nitric acid, and it's showing very good recoveries of both the rare earths and the titanium.
Well, yeah, their technology is a very strong leaching technology, so it leaches all the rare earths and all the elements out of the ore and leaves a residue which is basically just titanium dioxide, very clean, so it could be a premium product, high purity silica and hematite, and then we would concentrate the titanium dioxide product from that process and sell it as a titanium dioxide concentrate.
Right. We've just got our maiden JORC resource. What's coming next ahead of the PEA that you'd like to do?
Well, now we're fully into moving ahead towards feasibility study. We're going to do a PEA. We're doing the PEA work at the moment, and we'll look to publish that in the first quarter of next year. We've finished our infill drilling for mine planning purposes. We've drilled 43 new holes for mine planning, and we're awaiting the assay results, and that will go into the model and we'll produce our first mineable reserve. We're doing environmental impact assessment. We've started the permitting process for the project, and we're doing infrastructure and engineering studies using Orsenco in Brazil.
Right. So, soup to nuts, potentially we could have a shovel-ready project within the next couple of years.
Yeah, 24 months is about the period you need to go through the mining permitting process. And last week I was in Brasilia and I met the directors of the Department of Mine, all 6 senior directors, which is very, very unheard of. And that shows the importance that they're placing on this project. This is a project of national interest for Brazil.
Right. And by extension, the United States, given the close relations between those two countries and their interest in building alternative supply chains to get their rare earths and their titanium.
Yes. Well, we've been to Washington. We've spoken to various departments, Department of Defense, Department of Commerce, Department of Foreign Capital, introductions through the Brazilian embassy. And I intend to go back, and we're pursuing the possibility of grant funding. Obviously, there's a lot of money there through the Inflation Reduction Act, and there's a lot of emphasis. There's a new, in fact, on Monday at the United Nations, there's a forum for about 7 countries to secure critical minerals. Next week I'll be at the LME event in London, and then I'll go to The Hague, and we're speaking to the European Parliament about supply of critical minerals.
Now, Chris, for investors who don't know you, this is not your first foray into the mining industry. Bachelor of Engineering at University of Wollongong. You worked in a few mines in Latin America and elsewhere. You've spent some time at Rothschild. But your big breakthrough was the Monte Rico copper and molybdenum mine in northwestern Peru. Talk us about that journey.
Well, that was very similar in nature to Tiros in that we acquired the project. It was drilled by Cyprus Amex, and it was originally discovered by Newcrest, but the project had 18 drill holes in it, and Tiros had 21 when we acquired it. And so we took it, drilled 70,000 metres of diamond drilling, did a full bankable feasibility study headed up by Hatch and Golder Associates and very good international consultants, and took it to bankable feasibility study on a 1.3 billion tonne copper porphyry resource at a grade of 0.6 copper and 250 ppm moly. So a very good project. And ultimately, we went through a process with HSBC, and a Chinese company, Zijin Mining, acquired that from the company because we were a one project company and we had a 1.5 billion $1 billion capex on that project. But Tiros, I didn't think I'd ever see a project as high quality and large as Rio Blanco, but Tiros is 1.7 billion tonnes, and the grades are amazing. The in situ value of the titanium and the rare earths per tonne there's nothing comparable to it.
Right.
So, and the thing is, we can move this project forward a lot quicker because of the location. We've got great infrastructure, and also in terms of permitting, social license, we've got a very good community relations and farmer relations lady who's a psychologist, and she spends all her time working with the communities. We sponsor the girls' volleyball team, various things like that in Tiros. So Brazil is a much easier place than Peru to take a project through to bankable feasibility study and production.
Right. Very exciting days coming ahead. Well done on what you've achieved at Tiros and the listing of Resouro on ASX. And here's to a great transition towards the PEA.
Great. Thank you very much, Jim.
Pitt Street Research.
Thank you.